Oh, who you want next?
Look, if y'all don't know, even after I beat Tank, I'm gonna go back down to 130 and handle some smoke that I got down there at 130. All the champions I got smoke with.
Beat his ass for y'all talking.
Shit, boy.
For real. I better be quiet.
I don't give a fuck if y'all was
all that
quiet,
ski mask and all that.
loud.
They got the whole
hood
over there. Like, twisted up. I don't give a fuck about none of that.
Do whatever y'all want. My mother, he can't stop nothing.
Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach have turned up the heat as their highly anticipated fight draws closer. Initially, fans weren't too thrilled about the matchup, but excitement has been building fast. This is more than just a fight. It's a battle between champions from different divisions. The world super featherweight champion takes on the world lightweight champion, and Gervonta Davis, as always, is confident. Just like in his past fights, he's promised a brutal knockout.
For the champions, I wanted to unify at least one belt at 130.
Okay.
So whoever the champion is, whoever the champions are, hopefully I can just line them up and then take them out. It's good fights. The champions are Lomachenko, Shakur.
Gervonta Davis didn't hold back when addressing Lamont Roach, telling him, "I'll break you up. Keep your mother and kids at home." The last opponent he said this to didn't even make it to the 9th round, getting knocked out cold in the 8th by one of Davis's signature power shots. This fight is even more intense with revenge in the mix. Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach may compete in different weight classes, but they have a history, making this showdown even more personal.
Not at all.
Tell him I'm gonna f him up.
Not at all. Never. Nothing's gonna get f***ed up with. What do I look like getting f***ed up?
This matchup brings back memories of Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, where their first professional fight followed 6 amateur bouts, each winning 3 times. In this case, Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis have faced off twice, with Davis winning both. However, Roach is hungry for payback, especially for one fight where he believes the judges robbed him. Adding even more intrigue, this bout could mark the beginning of the end for Davis. If his recent statements are true, he's set on retiring by the end of the year.
I'm closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning stuff around.
Lamont Roach needs boxing fans to give him the benefit of the doubt. Building his confidence could be key to securing the ultimate prize on fight night, a victory over Gervonta Tank Davis to claim the WBA title. Recently, Roach watched a training clip of Davis and didn't hold back. He took to X, tweeting "easy work there," before quickly deleting the post.
Ukraine, Dennis Baranchik or something like that.
Okay. I feel like you and Shakur are really. I think people in the comments are actually wanting that fight, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that'd be a good fight.
Yeah, it'd be a great fight.
Yeah, they can fight. Shakur can boogie for sure.
Roach's tweet seemed random, but those keeping up with his posts or watching Davis's training footage knew exactly what he meant. Just before that, he had responded to a fan who wrote, "We are whipping. DC bums for the rest of the year, Ravens today, Tank in December." Roach fired back, saying, "This stuff is different over here," making it clear he doesn't see himself as another victim of Gervonta Davis. All of this led to his now deleted tweet about Davis's training, showing he's working hard to hype himself up. With the fight approaching, Roach needs to stay locked in at the gym while also securing a big payday. To make the most of this opportunity, he's doing his best to stir up tension and get Davis fully engaged in the rivalry. If you ask me, Roach should focus entirely on training, fine-tuning his skills, and preparing for the biggest fight of his career. But it seems he has a different approach. Instead of staying locked in at the gym, he's chosen to stir up a social media feud with Gervonta Davis. Despite holding the WBA super featherweight title, Roach hasn't generated much excitement for this fight. To change that, both fighters have taken their rivalry online, trading shots on X. Roach tried trolling the WBA lightweight champion, but Davis wasted no time firing back with a sharp response.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just in height and stature. He was, technically bigger than Tank too. But you know, Tank is comfortable at 135, so I don't blame him for fighting that way. But he's not a big 35. I don't see why people like, oh, you brought up a smaller guy, woo-de-woo, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like.
The back and forth began when heavyweight boxer Marcellus Williams asked Gervonta Davis about the camp fees to spar with him. Williams was eager to sharpen his skills and was motivated to make it happen, but before Davis could respond, Lamont Roach Jr. jumped in, replying, "He gonna need to spar you, bro. No funny." Davis immediately questioned what Roach meant by that, prompting Roach to quote a fan's explanation of his tweet, adding more fuel to their ongoing war of words. Roach quoted a fan's reply that read, translation, "You need to spar someone heavy, cause he is coming with it." This explained Roach's original tweet, suggesting that the 30-0 champion should prepare by sparring bigger opponents ahead of their December fight. While Davis might see this as an easy matchup, Roach is treating it as his chance to make a statement and boost his reputation. He's determined to prove he's not just an underdog, but a real threat in the ring.
Personally, I'm not spending that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep saying that. You know what I'm saying? I fight at 130 because that's what I campaign at. That's why I started my career. That's where I campaigned. That's why I worked my way up to a world title. And that's what I was gonna do. My plan was always to move up to 35 and win another title. So
Tank didn't ignore the disrespect. He fired back, saying, "I advise you not to talk so much. It can be bad for you. You already know that." He made it clear that Roach should prove himself in the ring, not online. Tank also warned Roach about the risks of angering the WBA lightweight champion. The exchange quickly escalated when Roach clapped back, insisting he wasn't like the other fighters Davis had faced. Tank has often faced criticism for handpicking his opponents, and Roach didn't hold back, saying, "You must think I'm one of those regular guys you fought or something. LOL, cut it out." He made it clear to the Baltimore native that this fight wouldn't be like the others. Despite coming from a lower weight class, Roach is determined to take on the challenge and shock the world. In response, Gervonta Davis kept his words measured, hinting that he'd let his performance in the ring do the talking.
Does that add anything to it?
No, not necessarily. I think maybe for the outside. I think maybe it's for the outside. I think the fire is the competitiveness between us both already, that we competed twice before and 2 close fights in the amateurs, and that you know what I'm saying, like.
Tank responded to Roach's tweet with just 2 words, "Say nothing," asserting his superiority over the WBA super featherweight champion. This back and forth has added more hype to the fight, which will take place at 135 lbs with the WBA lightweight title on the line. Lamont Roach is a solid, technically skilled fighter at the championship level. However, when it comes to opponents for Gervonta Tank Davis on a pay-per-view stage, I'd rather see someone with explosive performances at the highest level, or at least a fighter with a strong presence that draws attention. Davis is an undeniable PPV star, whether you believe all his fights should have been on PPV or not, and I've disagreed with most. He's been a major name in that space for quite some time now. What's been missing is the right level of opposition to justify those high PPV prices. Roach is a solid fighter, but he hasn't reached the top, and he doesn't have the kind of personality to make up for that. He's had success at super featherweight, but it took time. If he had multiple title defenses, a fight with Davis would make more sense, but he's only defended his title once, against Fergal Maxi C. We've seen Davis in similar matchups before. Like against Hector Luis Garcia, who after being stopped by Davis, only lost a split decision to Roach. But this is how the PPV model works. Once a fighter reaches that status, they stay on PPV no matter who they face.
I wanted to get your thoughts. I appreciate you coming out. I wanted to get your thoughts, Danny, on the Tank Roach thing. So just your thoughts on the fight in general. What do you think about the fight?
Frank Martin, one of Davis's past opponents, is also a solid fighter, but unlike Roach, he's already established at lightweight. He was set to face Shakur Stevenson and had delivered strong performances, making him an intriguing contender at the highest level. There's no doubt that Davis is an elite fighter, which is why the careful selection of his opponents can be frustrating. Fans want to see him tested against the best, not just fighters, who bring less excitement or credibility to a high-stakes matchup.
Calm down, brother.
Come to the fight. Come to the fight.
They probably gonna get you fucked up. Look, fool.
It is also worth noting that while Roach is well respected by those who know him, he isn't a particularly big super featherweight. He still seems capable of defending his WBA title in that division, while Davis is an exceptionally powerful lightweight. In the lead up to fights, Gervonta Davis usually keeps quiet until something sets him off. When that happens, he can get heated and start throwing insults, like we saw against Frank Martin, where he went as far as taunting him about taking his girlfriend. Lamont Roach has now had a taste of the Gervonta Davis drama. After claiming he would whoop Davis, Tank fired back, saying, "I'm going to chop, chop, bob, and weave. I'm ending it in the 9th round. I like proving people aren't who they say they are. When I won my first title, the whole building doubted me. Let's see how this one goes." The hype continues to build as boxing superstar and WBA lightweight champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis went face-to-face with the red-hot WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach at a press conference in Brooklyn. The event set the stage for their highly anticipated lightweight title fight, headlining a PBC pay-per-view event on Prime Video on Saturday, March 1st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Date Saudi.
Alright guys, turn on face cam, please. Right in the front, right here. Right here in the front, right here. Down here, please.
3-division world champion Gervonta Davis is returning to the Barclays Center, where he set records for the highest grossing and most attended boxing event with his knockout victory over Rolando Romero in May 2022. At the press conference, Davis and Roach reignited their rivalry, which dates back to their amateur days, and promised an explosive showdown on March 1st. The press tour continues on Thursday with a public press conference in Washington, D.C., giving fans another chance to see the fighters face off before fight night.
Round.
What?
I say 9th round.
You said 9?
Yeah.
What's your response to that, Lamont?
Look, he got scared. Look. He looked at me.
I'm telling
Gervonta Davis shared his excitement, saying, "The energy here is amazing. I won my first championship here, and I have more fans from New York than almost anywhere else. New Yorkers bring great energy." Lamont's got skills, even at a smaller weight class. He's one of the guys I came up with in boxing, and he's still doing well. He's definitely a top opponent, and everyone will see that on March 1st. We'll have to test his chin. He might think my past opponents didn't have one, but we'll find out. I say leave the kids at home. Lamont Roach, on the other hand, made his confidence clear. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe I could win. I've hurt everyone I've shared the ring with, and this fight won't be any different."
you saying you going down in the 9th? You know that power curry late.
I know you got some sneaky power. That's what I do know.
What?
Who said that? You said what?
Man.
"This is a huge opportunity and we're going to take full advantage of it," Roach said. "Everyone knows what I'm coming to do, and if you don't, you'll be surprised. I'm going to show what happens when two real fighters step in the ring together. My team built my career from the ground up. I've had the same team since I turned pro, and we've always taken the best fights for my career. I worked my way to the #1 contender spot, took a loss, and bounced back. We have a common opponent in Hector Luis Garcia. I beat him easily. The Frank Martin fight was relatively easy for Tank. It is what it is. Frank was inexperienced and nervous. But this fight is different. When we step in the ring, Tank is going to be facing a different fighter. Fighting in the amateurs and fighting now are two completely different things. We've both evolved and added new skills to our game. There might be a few things we remember about each other, but on the big stage, those won't matter. I don't care about being the underdog or the favorite. Either way, I'm going to win. With all the talk about Tank's choice of opponent, Roach made sure to let the public know exactly where he stands when he got his turn at the podium.
You said what? Yeah, that's why I've been waiting for the niggas to talk. How much you want back? How much you want to bet? Because I came up here alone. How much y'all want back? How much you want back? Just call it out. Huh? 100? That's a bet.
This is a huge opportunity, and we're going to seize it, Roach said. Everybody knows what I'm here to do. If you don't, you're in for a surprise. I know Tank won't be surprised. I actually think he took this fight because of all the critics talking about it. I believe he knows I'm a real fighter and he wants to prove himself against someone like me. But I'm going to show everyone what happens when two real fighters step in the ring together, and I'll be the one coming out on top. When it was Tank's turn to speak, he kept it short and confident. I'm excited to be part of this, and on March 1st, it's going to be a great event, Davis said. Right now, I'm not really into all the back and forth, but when night comes, it'll be a great show. Same results, you just have to wait and see. We've got 3 months to prepare, so it's going to be a good one.
Fight against Lamont Roach. I know there were reports of a potential fight with Lomachenko. Obviously that fell through. What made Lamont Roach the next logical choice for you in your next fight?
He has skills. Even though he's at a smaller weight class, I feel.
At that point, both fighters sat down for a Q&A session to dive deeper into the fight and everything surrounding it. Here are a few key moments. Tank on why a fight with Lomachenko didn't happen and why Roach was the next logical choice. He's got skills, even though he's coming up from a smaller weight class. I feel like Lamont has what it takes, and he's actually one of the guys I came up with in boxing. A lot of the people we started with aren't really around anymore, so he might not be as well known, but he's definitely skilled and a solid opponent. Roach on how his style differs from Tank's past opponents. When it comes to skill, I bring a lot to the table. I can adapt, I can fight in different ways, and I'm tough, gritty, and smart. Whatever I need to do, I'll do it. Most of Tank's past opponents were either one-dimensional or just didn't have enough to keep up.
I actually started with, came up with in the sport of boxing.
Gervonta Tank Davis has made a bold statement about his future in boxing. On Tuesday evening, he revealed that he plans to retire at the end of 2025, saying, "After next year, I'm out of the sport." Before stepping away, Tank is set to face his former amateur rival Lamont Roach on March 1st at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Known for his explosive knockout power, Davis has always found ways to keep fans talking, both inside and outside the ring. However, it seems the thrill of the sport is starting to wear on him. Rather than focusing on cementing his legacy, Tank may be considering an early exit. Fans have already seen little of him in recent years, expecting a more active schedule after he resolved his legal troubles. While he did return to the ring last June against Frank Martin, the long gaps between fights continued despite talk of frequent appearances. Now it appears Davis might be preparing for a permanent break from boxing. At the first official press conference for Davis versus Roach, he made it clear fans shouldn't expect to see him around much longer.
The Frank Martin press conference, it looked like you were the talks about retirement was not even discussed at this moment, and now it's something you keep on repeating. Is it just because obviously...
When asked about his 2025 plans, Gervonta Tank Davis didn't hesitate. He hinted at retirement, saying, "After next year, I'm out of the sport." This announcement didn't sit well with fans, who have already grown frustrated with his occasional appearances in the ring. Many voiced their disappointment in the comment section, questioning his commitment to the sport. One fan pointed out, the contradiction asking, thought he had a 7-fight deal? Davis has often been criticized for not prioritizing boxing the way some fans expect, and his latest comments only fueled that sentiment. However, not everyone was against his decision. Some supported his choice, with one person stating, "Health is wealth." His style may not allow for a long career.
Where's Calvin Ford? Is Calvin Ford or Leonard Edelby? Usually they're around to.
You think you might be gaining love for it though? You never know. Like like you said, you got to walk today. Okay.
Many boxers face serious health issues after retirement, including chronic pain, nerve problems, and long-term injuries from years of punishment in the ring. With Gervonta Davis's explosive, high-intensity style, he could be at risk for similar complications. Despite his talent, Davis has yet to take on most of the top names in the lightweight division, aside from Ryan Garcia. Fans have been pushing for matchups against elite opponents like Shakur Stevenson, but if he avoids those fights, his popularity could start to fade. That's it for now. For the latest boxing news, updates, and exclusive content, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss out. Until next time, peace.